And now, podcasting from the sun-scorched desert Southwest, weighing in at a combined total of 340 pounds, Brad Winchester, Tyler McDowell-Blanken, are Gimmick Infringement.
Welcome, everybody, to the Gimmick Infringement podcast. I am Brad Winchester. With me, as always, is my tag team partner, Tyler McDowell-Blanken. Tyler, as we record this, it's almost the end of the day. We are post AEW Revolution 2023. I am on a high. How you doing today?
I'm on such a high as well. I am buzzing right now, Brad. We watched a really, really great AEW Revolution. It's funny, you and I were trying to figure out how to record for this episode logistically, because this is the first, please jump in and correct me if I'm wrong, this is the first AEW pay-per-view on a Sunday in quite some time. I think we've been spoiled, right? So to give our audience some background, if you don't already know, obviously we release every Monday. Shout out to Brad and all the great work he does making the technical piece of this happen. All of the technical pieces. We record typically on Sunday mornings and then release on Mondays. But obviously that would have been really challenging this week. We thought of, okay, we could either record Sunday night, just like we're doing, and release Monday, or keep our usual recording time early Sunday, but not talk about AEW and maybe drop the episode on Sunday instead. Brad, we knew it was not going to be great. Would it have been more convenient and beneficial for our sleep and overall wellness?
Yes.
Especially yours? Absolutely. But I think we made the right decision. What a fun show. I'm doing so well. I hope you are too. I can't wait to get into our conversation.
Yeah, before we do, I have to tell you that I did not tell you this, that I led a Orange Cassidy style chant with my tech crew this week because we are up against a time crunch. The show is in 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks. This week is tech week. There was an almost all day Saturday rehearsal, 8 to 4 for the kids.
Yeah, I didn't even ask you about that.
Oh,
friend of the year.
My Lord, we have so much to do. Next Saturday, I will definitely be in the theater and trying to get everything done. Most of the set is built, but we're in the auditorium and I just started chanting with them. We're gonna try. We're gonna try.
That's a deep cut. That's Revolution, like 2019.
Yes, he's gonna try.
Do the kids know about that? Is there one?
Absolutely not.
One Miranda Tiger out there?
Not a single kid in that room.
Okay, that's fair.
Some of them were like, "Isn't pro wrestling fake?" And they almost were on a receiving end of, "Oh yeah, go ahead."
Scripted. It's
yes.
Scripted. We've all been there, right? We've all been there. It's not fake.
I almost hacksaw Jim Duggan them over the head in the shop with a 2x4.
And that would have been a completely acceptable response for their ignorance in that example.
Almost as bad, maybe worse, but almost as bad as MJF splashing a young fan with a drink and causing that fan to become really, really upset. The fan, the family. Shout out to Amanda Huber for looking after the kid in the crowd, and to Will for getting some merch for him. Really good to see the community kind of take care of him. Max is probably going to have to learn how to not do that stuff. I have a feeling that all the conversation around it is going to egg him on to do more.
Absolutely. Yeah. No doubt.
But regardless, after tonight, I'd say he's earned whatever the hell he wants to do. Then what a match. What a night, Tyler. Let's get into it.
And now it's time to talk AEW.
We had Mark Briscoe and the Lucha Bros defeating Ari Daivari and the Varsity Athletes on the pre-show. This was a fun match, man. Like I don't think we had any question that it was going to deliver and be fun. But this was a very enjoyable match. It was 12 minutes and 50 seconds long. I thought it was a good way to sort of not really end the pre-show. It was like it middled the pre-show. It was in a weird spot, which I thought was probably different than what they used to do. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I seem to remember them having like 1 or 2 matches, it ending, and then it coming back to the start, either JR's entrance, which they did, and then it would go to AEW and then the copyright stuff into the pay-per-view, and then the pay-per-view would start. But this didn't kind of play out that way. I did love the addition of RJ City, though. I thought RJ being on the show, RJ and Renee, that was awesome. It felt like a proper AEW pre-show.
Yeah, I knew you were loving that. In terms of the pre-show format, definitely different. I was caught off guard when the match started so early. I thought, given that we only had one match, the pre-show was only going to be 30 minutes, but I was completely wrong. So I totally missed the entrances. I probably missed the first few minutes of this match, but I finally got to it, and it was really, really great as pre-show matches go. I am so happy that the Lucha Brothers got on this. I was going to say this card, but that's not accurate. I'm so glad they were performing in front of this audience in California. Yeah. You may recall, Brad, the Dynamite we went to, I for sure thought the Lucha Brothers were winning that tag team. I forget, Royale or whatever we saw. I thought for sure they were going to be on the pay-per-view, because how can you be in California and not have these two guys? So glad they got this moment. And Mark Briscoe as well. How can you not love this dude? Obviously, the unfathomable tragedy with his family that he's dealing with. It seems like he's in really high spirits and really using wrestling to as kind of a way to cope. He's adored and he's having a prominent role in AEW right now. I wasn't very hip to the Briscoes prior to them joining AEW, so I'm excited to continue learning more about him. So happy that he got the pin, I believe. Froggy Bow.
Yeah.
The Froggy Bow is such a cool move.
Yeah.
I could totally see Freya adopting that. I'm thinking probably a couple of years, but I loved everything about this. Shout out to the varsity athletes and Davari. This was a very suitable pre-show match, and the babyfaces who won were the proper selections. This is really fun.
Yeah, I thought it was a blast. I was a little surprised, like you said, that we didn't get the Lucha Brothers in Phoenix. I'm also a little surprised that we didn't see the San Francisco inspired gear all fully decked out from Penta. But I thought all of this was great. So the Danhausen Orange Cassidy interview, I really liked RJ City doing the interviews, being spray painted by Tony Storm. I really liked the Danhausen Orange Cassidy interview because I did that kicked it off, and RJ City asking Danhausen what he's wearing. He's wearing like a dress with flowers on it and like a newsboy hat. And it wasn't a dress. It was a tunic or something, but he's like, what are you wearing? And Danhausen just went, clothes. And that was kind of the end of it. And it moved on. I thought it was silly. I thought it was cool to get the wrestlers beforehand and not just a vignette. And that's the part that I appreciated, was we got actual interviews beforehand and not just vignettes. It felt really old school wrestling. Like, we're going to have the interview before the match and then the match will happen. It felt 1980s to me, the way that they set it up. And I really, really enjoyed it.
I think the first interview, I totally missed those. So as you're sharing this, I am learning all new information. Renee was great. It was kind of jarring to see her in this role. It gave me flashbacks to WWE circa 2018, 2019. I was like, whoa, I think this is the first time I've seen her in on a pre-show like this, but that was great. And the moment of the pre-show for me, I think, was Daddy Magic. That was the first backstage interview I saw. Yes. So that gives you in our audience a better timeline of when I jumped into this. He was great. The added layer now of, I think I'm saying this on air, the added layer now of asking the interviewer, particularly RJ City, which I guess is less problematic because it was two guys, asking RJ City to feel his nipple. And then like that whole dynamic.
Both.
Yeah.
Plural.
Exactly. Yeah. Daddy Magic was excellent. And this pre-show, from what I saw of it, the 35 minutes or so was really awesome and did not overstay its welcome by any means.
No, I thought it was great. And then we went into the main card. We got JR's entrance. JR looked like he was moving a little slowly. Hope he's healing. I know it's been a long struggle with healing from his cancer treatments on his ankle. So wish the best to JR, the Hall of Famer, the legend. We roll right into Ricky Starks versus Chris Jericho. This was a great match. I wasn't sure if it was going to be a ton of fun. I knew it was going to be Ricky and Jericho. And just saying those names on paper, it's a no-brainer. Like, that these guys are talented. Jericho's on my Rushmore, and Ricky Starks is incredible, future world champion. I loved this match. I thought this was a lot of fun. It wasn't like an all-time classic, but it was a great way to start the pay-per-view. I thought it was a blast, man. I loved it. The right person won. Ricky Starks is coming out on top. It makes him a little bit bigger, his star a little bit brighter, and then hopefully we can move away from the JAS for Ricky. Looking forward to seeing what's next.
Well said. This was the ideal opener. I originally thought Jungle Boy and Christian were going to open,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm so happy Ricky and Jericho did. I took some brief notes here, Brad. When Ricky entered with the yellow gear, I swear to you, and mind you, I incorrectly predicted in our article on gimmickinfringementpod.com that Jericho was going to take this. I thought, okay, we're going to lean into the trope of it's a Jericho feud, so it's going to last a long time. He's going to get his revenge here. The rubber match possibly will be at Double or Nothing. I don't want to see it go on that long, but here we are. When Ricky came out in the yellow gear, I thought to myself, okay, I'm wrong. He's not losing. I mean, he's so clearly a face of this company and needs a signature win here that I just knew when he entered, okay, he got the rib tape, so nice swerve there, like, okay, he's injured, that would give him reason to lose. No, not at all. You correctly predicted this. Really fun match. So happy Ricky went over clean. Action Andretti saved him from a potential Sammy Guevara distraction.
That was great.
I thought Andretti was maybe going to turn on him and he would become the 20th member of the JAS. I am so happy I was wrong on this. Ricky Starks is just a joy to watch, and I can't wait to see what's next for him.
Yeah, I thought it was great. I've loved the Andretti. Getting to have Andretti on the pay-per-view, even if he was there for 10 seconds, and we didn't even really see his face. It was just the back of his head beating the piss out of Sammy. Yes.
The gray sweatsuit.
Yeah. Came out of nowhere.
I know.
He must have been sitting in the front row and just hopped the thing.
He really impressed me when we saw him at that Rampage main event against Sammy and Phoenix. I know none of us were like giddy when it was announced that was the Rampage main event. It was kind of like, oh, really? That's it? But Andretti is really great in the ring. We take for granted the sheer athleticism that these performers just showcase, and they do it flawlessly without any slip-ups typically, or any, God forbid, any injuries. It's like, oh no, this guy is I heard a comparison recently to a young AJ Styles, and by no means do I want to put that pressure on him, but it's like, okay, I can see that, like early AJ and TNA, just athleticism Jones. Yes, I'm here for it. Great to have him on the card.
I legitimately turned to you when we were in Phoenix and went, okay, I see why this was the main event.
Yeah.
When Rampage started, like that's so I was like, this is the main event. Really? This is what we're doing?
It was straight out of an X Division greatest hits from TNA. Again, AJ versus, I don't know, Christopher Daniels, or name the person he faced back then. Yeah, it was awesome.
I thought it was great. I thought the post-match thing when everybody left, everybody got up, was like, all right, I don't need to see the JAS in the ring anymore. Let's get out of here. But Jericho coming down and cutting a promo in the crowd and all that was great. I thought it was awesome. I feel like Andretti's going to be feuding with JAS still. I don't know what do you think Jericho does next? Because he's on his storyline right now is a losing streak. Do you think that this makes him lose credibility in the eyes of the JAS and then they eventually split?
That's intriguing. I would like that route more than the JAS continuing to do what they're doing. The JAS, it was really good until it wasn't. To quote one of my favorite Kehlani albums, it's not hitting the right notes for me anymore, man. It just feels mid-card, and not in a good way, like lower mid-card, very repetitive. I don't know. I still don't know why Daniel Garcia is there. I thought Daniel Garcia versus Jericho for the ROH title was the money match. I'm still a little scarred from that not happening. Yeah, if they lose faith in him and perhaps turn on him, I don't know that I'm yearning for a Jericho babyface run, but we know that he has to have a pay-per-view match every pay-per-view. I mean, and that's not to knock him. The dude has totally earned that right.
Yeah.
But if we're thinking about, I know maybe we'll have a Double or Nothing question for you later, but if we're thinking about Double or Nothing, yeah, I don't know that match is very clear. Maybe he's in a multi-man match of some sort, but I also don't know that I can see him in a ladder match. I don't know what that next big feud is for him. What do you think?
I don't know, but it feels like maybe it'll be the end of the JAS. Maybe we get another Stadium Stampede or
that Anarchy. Is their match. Great call. That's the answer. Stadium Stampede. Yep.
I don't know though, because I was going to say Anarchy in the Arena is their match. Stadium Stampede was the Inner Circle. So I don't know what they're going to do with that, but they'll have some sort of gimmick match like that, maybe a sweet Minnesota street fight. The next match on the card was Jungle Boy Jack Perry, pop myself,
was good.
defeating Christian Cage in a final burial match. I didn't know what to expect from this other than it was a casket match. They could have called it what it was, but slightly different. The casket isn't rolled out to ringside. There was no dump you into the ring. It was basically you fall off the stage into this casket. And when the lid shuts, the casket, I did not expect that thing to fall away into a puff of smoke, Tyler. That's
Christian. It was great to see Christian while we could. I think he's just, I don't know, man. He's underground now. Yeah, that pop. Yeah, I thought of you and your theater background. I thought, man, Brad, I think Brad's going to enjoy this part.
100%. All I could think is like the next time we see him, he's coming out of a brood tunnel. There's just, that's it for him, man. He died.
Seems like a possibility.
It was a final burial. Or maybe that was a subtle way for Christian to retire from casket matches for the rest of his life. Perhaps that's what we saw today. I don't know. Maybe that's why it was a final burial, but it was a good match. There was a couple of spots where they sold me on Christian winning, and Jungle Boy got out of it, and then Christian got him back into the casket, and then Jungle Boy got out of it again. And I thought it was a lot of fun. It's the 20-minute match that, or thereabouts, 19 minutes and 17 seconds that we probably needed. His feud is over. It's been going for about a year. At least I hope it's over. I don't know where Jungle Boy goes from here, but that's a big notch in the belt, beating Christian Cage, who came into the company already with a Hall of Fame resume and immediately won a championship belt on the first episode of Rampage against Kenny Omega. He won the Impact World Championship, and Jungle Boy Jack Perry just defeated him. So I'm not sure where Jungle Boy goes from here. I don't really want him in the TNT title scene. I think we've already seen him in a feud with MJF. So I don't really know what he does for now until they can get him into maybe they run it back with MJF or he does something else. Maybe he goes after Hook after teaming with him. I have no idea, man. I don't know what you do with Jungle Boy from here, but I'm curious to see what happens. For some reason, I look at it and I think Jungle Boy is probably going to end up feuding with like Jay Lethal or Jeff Jarrett or something like that, because they're sort of done with their feud as well, unless they start feuding with the Guns because they turn their back on them or double cross them. It's like, well, they're bad guys. So we'll see. Christian Cage, I also don't know what they do with him. I would love a heel versus heel Christian Cage MJF program. Give that to me, please. Because my God, the mic battles.
Wow. That would be a great Dynamite main event.
Yes. Like Grant, what is it? The St. Patrick's Day Slam or whatever it's called.
There you go.
That would be perfect. Not a pay-per-view, but like give me a short Christian Cage program. Obviously MJF winning, but the stuff they say about each other on the microphone.
Yeah, that's where the money is. The match would be really good. But yeah, the promo wars would be epic. This match was really fun. This match in many ways mirrored the first one, the opener to me. Young star for the company. I don't know how old Ricky Starks is. I know Jungle Boy's younger, but you have a
newer 30. I looked the other day, 30 or 31.
That makes sense. Okay, yeah, still a young man. You have a newer 33. Star, really made in. Okay, gotcha. Really made in AEW. Jungle Boy and Ricky Starks check those boxes. Obviously, Ricky wasn't a day one, but I don't know that a lot of us knew him in NWA fame. So both guys go over the established veterans. Like Ricky, where does Jungle Boy go next? You mentioned TNT and not necessarily wanting that. To me, that would seem like the obvious play here. We know he's not going to leapfrog to facing MJF at Double or Nothing. At least we don't think. But I could see easily Jungle Boy versus Wardlow or Jungle Boy versus Hobbs at the May pay-per-view. If not, yeah, maybe Jungle Boy versus Jeff Jarrett or Jay Lethal. I don't know that I want that, but I don't know that you do either. But I think sooner or later he's going to have to challenge for gold. I mean, Darby Allin. I think of Darby and Jungle Boy in similar terms often. Darby's been a multi-time TNT champion at this point. I think we're just knocking on that door for Jungle Boy. I don't know that he's going to defeat, say, Powerhouse Hobbs.
Hobbs is going to have a run.
I know maybe All Atlantic Jungle Boy
I was
versus
just thinking that's
OC,
exactly what I was thinking. So
babyface versus babyface,
yeah,
opposite of the heel versus heel dynamic. Yeah, you like that?
Jack Perry's 25 years old. I just looked it up.
Stupid
Dude's
young,
yeah, so
and
young.
he's like the perfect wrestler already.
I could
Amazing
see him. I could see him going after the FTW championship.
against yeah, you mentioned that.
The Red Rum versus the Snare Trap. I think could be a lot of fun.
Wow,
The
Hook's,
dynamic
Hook's first loss.
that match would be incredible. I think he would be. I don't think anybody would be mad that it was Jungle Boy if they gave him some time. But I think All Atlantic, those two. I mean, classic, 5-star
Oh yeah,
classic.
oh yeah, match of the night at Double or Nothing, probably.
100%. Yeah, so I could absolutely see that because I don't see number one, I don't want him losing. I don't want him challenging for the TNT belt and losing because I think he's done it a couple times already. And I think he
Yeah,
was in
yeah,
the
he-
All Atlantic. Was he in the no, he wasn't in the All Atlantic tournament because he's at that time he was still feuding with Christian Cage, I think. So
right, right. I think didn't he even
yeah.
get a world title shot at some
Yes.
point on a
Yep.
Dynamite against
Mhm.
Jericho?
I can't remember if it
Or was
was
Kenny?
No, Jericho already, I think it was Kenny.
Yeah,
Jericho had already dropped the belt because
yeah. I
I
appreciate.
saw the world title match when I started watching, and at that point, Mox was champion. So
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I think wasn't it that was the moment him and Christian Cage had. This was back in
yeah,
Bailey's place. They had that battle royale of sorts. Christian ended up throwing
yeah,
I'm sorry, Jungle Boy threw Christian over,
yeah.
pinned him, and then that led to Jungle Boy getting the dynamite.
That's right.
Okay. We're working through this. Yes.
And we
Thank
had
you.
the confetti, and it was like a big deal.
Yes. And
Crowd went nuts,
the prize was he gets a match against Kenny Omega. Kenny
and it was
Omega
a good
beats
one.
him,
Yeah,
but looks
yeah,
great. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. I don't. So when's the last singles match that he had for a belt? It's
Yeah,
probably that.
man. He's so good though.
He's been in tournaments and he's been in like
He's
battle
undeniable.
royales and all of these different things, but he hasn't had a
Tag champs,
proper
obviously.
title match.
Yeah.
Yes.
My question for you here, Brad. This was the only note that I put for this match. So Jungle Boy Jack Perry's amazing for all the reasons we just listed. Perhaps the most impressive feat I've seen from him thus far in his AEW career is how in the world did he wrestle in jeans during this match, sans any belt? I was so transfixed by that. How did he? I don't know about you, Brad, but it's never a question. When I wear jeans, I have to wear a belt or else those things are slipping. And I usually go with the Slim Fit Jones type of look. This dude wrestled an 18-minute match with how is that? I'm not even trying to be funny or facetious. That was really bothering me. Like, oh, my man doesn't even have a belt. How is he doing this? Effortlessly. Did you notice that, or is that just like an idiosyncrasy of mine? I
think it's
I
an
was shook.
idiosyncrasy. So
I was shook.
I think wasn't he wearing the same kind of jeans as Orange Cassidy in this match?
Yeah, that's
Those
true.
were jeggings.
Yeah,
I'm looking at
OC has the drawstring gimmick. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at Jungle Boy's jeans right now, and it looks to me.
I didn't see a drawstring though. Maybe they're hidden.
No, they're probably hidden, but
Yeah,
I see something on the. It looks like, man, it's so hard to tell, but it looked like he had some sort of thing in the front of the jeans sewn in, so they're probably just really tight.
That would make more sense. Yeah, I like.
Yeah, and who knows? Maybe they're tied on the inside, but yeah, a lot of that stuff is just made to look like it, but it's not actually it.
Exactly.
And,
Well, I was worked. I was transfixed by it during this match.
I thought it was shocking to see him in pants wrestling. In
was
general, like not even just that I was writing in jeans, all of John Moxley. I was just like, wow, he's just wearing pants and not just tidy greenies.
And he stayed true to the footwear, right? He had the usual Jungle Boy boots.
Yeah, well, at least he had brown boots. I don't know if they were the Jungle Boy boots, but they were definitely the same scheme.
Yeah,
I thought, like at first, I thought he came out there in Tim's. Like it was like, he's just gonna wrestle?
Wow, I didn't think that. That would have definitely given him some bonus points.
I was like, just going out there in heavy ass boots.
I love that we're dedicating several minutes to his fashion choices. You're so right about the jeans, though. Like OC, Mox, even Big Bill. For some reason, I guess it's because we're not. I guess it's because we're not used to seeing Jungle Boy in jeans that it was just like I lost any sense of my knowledge of wrestling fashion. I was like, how in the world is he doing this right now?
That's crazy. I just confirmed he was wearing ghillie suit boots, the Jungle Boy shoes.
Amazing.
The little frilly things hanging off the side.
Yeah, this was a really fun match, and the right guy. This was a trend that we saw all night. The right wrestler won.
Mm-hmm.
It was awesome.
And the right wrestler was sent to the depths of hell, apparently. The next match was the House of Black victorious, as we predicted, over the Elite. 18-minute banger. One of the best trios matches I think AEW's put on so far, and that is saying something. Tyler, this match delivered and then some. It's exactly what we thought. We were like, this match is going to be probably, this was my prediction for the one that would steal the show, that would steal the night. I don't know that I could say that after that main event, but my goodness, for the rest of the card, this is my favorite match of the night. This match ruled. It had me high drama, a bunch of finishers that happened that would have been the end of it in a tag team match, but in a trios match, there's that one extra dude in the ring, and it was great. Or that one extra Julia Hart, whatever it might be. Julia Hart got V-triggered into outer space in this match, and then Kenny just went, "Oh well, you shouldn't have been there." And then
it was
so good.
They really made it. Yeah.
There was also, we'll get to it. There was something that Mox yelled out in his match against Hangman that made me laugh out loud really hard. But the V trigger to Julia Hart really got the crowd. It got me, but more importantly, the reaction of Kenny afterward. I thought this was great. The right team won. House of Black now is the House of Gold.
That was smooth. I am still stunned that this result occurred. Like you, I predicted House of Black would win, but I had a huge seed of doubt, man. I thought, okay, like, we want this. I really believe it makes the most sense. Like, can we really have House of Black lose another significant match? No, we cannot. But it's in California. The Bucks fashion, right? The Bucks have the home state pants. The Elite's definitely going to retain, but no, our prediction was right, Brad. This match was so incredible. We expected nothing less. What stood out to me was how into the face-offs the crowd was in San Francisco. So we start the match with Kenny Omega and Buddy Murphy facing off, which has been a dream match, not just for my co-host, but clearly for 80 to 90% of the audience. Malachi and Kenny having their moment. I loved when one of the Young Bucks, I forget if it was Matt or Nick, when he requested, or dare I say demanded, that Brody King come in. Brody King came in with the face paint and all. Right. And then he wanted to tag out. He said, okay, no, I think I bit off more than I can chew. Let me get out of this match. Yeah, you highlighted it, man. The Julia Hart moment. There were so many cool spots in this match. The House of Black are our new trios champions. I am so thrilled for these three. I cannot wait to see what they do. I hope they are champs for a long time. I'm just so glad that we're going to get them presumably on TV consistently now.
Yes.
This was amazing. I am still buzzing that they actually went over.
Buddy Matthews is a walking pectoral muscle.
Yes, Buddy. Thank you, Buddy Matthews. I call him Buddy Murphy. Thank you.
Dude,
that's amazing.
Match, the Brody makeup, for some reason, I saw it and I was like, that doesn't even look like the same person. I thought that the last time he did it too, just because he had like the run of like gold in the beard,
right, on
top of the black and the white. You're so, man, I would not want anything to do with that guy if I saw him. No. He's an enormous human being. He's all inked up. He's like a hairless cat that got tattooed everywhere. Dude is just an absolute monster. And watching the scream into like the senton cannonball, how do you prepare for that if you're in the corner? Like, that's just some giant is throwing his body at you like a missile. You can't do anything about that. Like, Darby's missile is coming in hot, but that's like 4 Darbys hurtling it's their back toward you.
The math adds up. And then, not to mention, so you have Buddy Matthews, who's great for what you just said. You have Brody King, the imposing big man. And then, by the way, you have the leader who you have to go through as well, Malachi Black, who is arguably the best striker in all of wrestling. His kicks, his knees. I mean, you can even hear the crowd go, "Ooh, oh!"
Kenny facing off with Malachi and Kenny facing off with Buddy.
Money.
Starting, oh my God, we need a singles run. And I tweeted this out, man. I need Buddy.
I saw this.
I'll throw Malachi in there too, but Bandito, Roosh, give me these singles matches now. I demand them while Kenny is still healthy, while Kenny is still willing. I need this. Please throw the IWGP belt on the line. I don't care. Give me these matches, damn it.
This was amazing. I still can't believe it happened. This was worth the price of admission by far. I loved it.
Thought it was cool that we also got Callis just kind of taking off the headset before heading down the ring. Didn't say a word, just kind of went, oh, and then took off the headset and dipped.
And he's been real thirsty for some Konosuke Takeshita too. So there's
he's not alone.
Tune in.
That's also me. So I'm gonna need more of all of these dudes on my TV, and I want them to all wrestle Kenny.
For sure.
Sorry, Kenny, you have work to do. Let's see. Next match was Jamie Hayter defeating both Saraya and Ruby Soho. This was a 10-minute match, Tyler. It is the shortest match on the main card. Well, the entire night. Wardlow and Samoa Joe only outlasted them by 40 seconds, but it was a very short match. Match was good. I didn't think there was anything wrong with the match. I really liked the Jamie Hayter and Ruby Soho face-offs. Ruby is, I don't know what happened when Ruby came to AEW, but she went, something flipped in her head. And now when she strikes, she strikes. And I do like that the post-match angle, they okey-doked us into thinking that she was talking to Saraya and Tony. And then she turned on both Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter by delivering 2 finishing moves. And I thought that was great. Makes sense to me. I don't know who joins up with Britt and Jamie at this point to help them out, because I doubt it's Rebel, but we'll see. We'll see who it is. Maybe Sheeta comes back. Maybe they get Riho. We'll see. Either of them would be great. Willow makes a ton of sense to me. No idea what they're going to do from here, but I do enjoy this angle. The women have a good story going right now. And outside of Jade Cargill's I'm Just Unstoppable and We're the Baddies and the drama that's already resolved in there, I don't know what they do with Jade, which is probably why they're like not doing anything with Jade, it seems, which is apocalyptically stupid, in my opinion. The fact that we haven't seen Jade for a while now on our TVs, in the ring, on the pay-per-view is crazy to me. I'm getting to a point now where, Tyler, I hope Jade comes out and says, I'm sick of beating everybody. I want the world belt, and it's time to unify the world belt and just get rid of the TBS title altogether, because the longer she has it and doesn't use it, the less it means. And she keeps beating like jabronis on this thing. So she hasn't had more than 1 or 2 real challenges in the last several months. It's been squash after squash after squash. I want to see something more from them. That being said, all the talent that was in the ring tonight was good. I thought the match was what we kind of expected. It was a pretty good match. It was entertaining. It had a great angle going out of the match. What did you think?
Yeah, I'm so happy that Ruby felt extra important after this match. If she wasn't going to win, I'm just happy that we saw that heel turn, and we know she's going to be a prominent player in this feud moving forward. And it makes so much sense. I was worked. They got me. I thought, okay, this is interesting. She's obviously still a fan favorite. She's going to join Britt and Jamie. Let's do it. So I was totally taken aback when she hit that really awesome Pele kick. Super happy to see it. Jamie Hayter is an absolute megastar. You called this so early on, Brad. Longtime listeners and supporters and viewers of GI know this. You've been sipping on some Haterade for longer than many of us. Her entrance, I didn't mention this earlier, but the 8K camera shots looked brand new to me. Correct me if I'm wrong. I do not recall seeing those before on AEW TV. The interweaving of those throughout the night, especially during the entrances, was so incredible. I really love that. Jamie Hayter, so obviously her music, her Titantron, for lack of a better term, that's all been there. But the lighting for her entrance also looked different to me. And let me know if I'm tripping. I've just been missing out. But even the lights that were playing, it felt very not like a disco, but like we're in a dance hall. It was just Jamie Hayter entered, and I was just again taken aback by how over she is, how much of an absolute mega star she's become in front of our eyes. I'm so happy that she won. I was not ready for her title reign to end by any means. This match was fun, especially the post angle, as you alluded to. I'm just happy that Jamie Hayter still has gold around her waist. And for Jade, frankly, part of the reason I was really down on this show heading into it was because we got no Jade angle. And I'm not saying Jade matches have been matches of the night at pay-per-views,
Yeah.
not at all. But she is just, I feel like if I'm paying $50, Brad, excluding tax, I want to see Jade Cargill at some point during the show. And that, not only the fact that she wasn't on the show, but like you pointed out, there's no real storyline for her at the moment. It's just been rinse and repeat. Someone steps up and challenges her. She demolishes them. Next one, here we go, 40-0, 50-0, etc. I could definitely see a world in which she comes out and says, I'm tired of this. I want to challenge for the main belt. And the TNT title maybe the TBS title maybe disappears. I still need an action figure with her and the TBS belt. I don't know if that's unrivaled or what that'll look like, but I need it. Yeah, man, Jamie Hayter is it. I am right on board with you now. She is incredible. Ruby's incredible. Glad to see Saraya in the spot. I really enjoyed this match.
Yeah, I thought it was fun, man. Like Jamie Hayter is everything that I was hoping she would be when we saw her come back. She returned and it was to thunderous nothing. Nobody remembered who she was. She was an AEW original and then got hurt and then was gone. And then the pandemic, and then finally was able to come back over here. It had been so long, nobody knew who she was. When she got here, I didn't know who she was because they were like, that's Jamie Hayter. And I was like, who the hell is Jamie Hayter? I had to look her up. I had no idea. And when I finally saw who it was, I was like, okay, this person's been around. They've held titles in different promotions and let's see what happens. And they gave her that first match. Maybe she tagged with Britt. I can't remember, but she ate the pin. I do remember that. She lost several matches in a row. And I was like, oh my God, she is so good. She is so much better at this than the other people she's wrestling. She should not be losing. And that's what I was like, that is a future champion right there. And I remember our conversation about it because it was like, you were like, really? Wow. Okay. Hot take. And here we are, man. Like that. We're, yeah.
So ridiculous.
Yeah. And now it's like, now it's like, oh my God, it's so obvious that it's Jamie Hayter. But
I mean, just, Brad, when she enters, it's just, oh my, like massive pop. Just she has, total cliche here, but I feel it with all my being. She has that it factor. It's obvious.
There's something there. Yeah.
There's something very, very special there.
Because Hayter hits hard. I love that so much. The Haterade, all of it. Her kissing the bicep in the ring, knowing that she's about to lariat somebody's head off. God, it's all so freaking good.
Megastar.
Yeah, and I'm just glad we get to hear her talk now because before she was just Sidekick Jones, and now she's Jamie Hayter. The next match, Texas Death. Tyler, I grimaced through about 95% of this match, just going, no. Oh God. Why? It was just a lot of pleading on my end. Really thinking about how I should clip that now and just save that for future purposes. Hangman Adam Page defeated Jon Moxley in a 24 minute, 45 second match that was violent. So violent. Getting both of them being busted open the hard way live on our screens was disgusting. First with the barbed wire across the head, and then a fork that was very, very obviously jammed. And then like the jamming was like, okay, you put the fork all the way to the end of your fist and then you go like that. You don't really make much contact. But then when we were watching it being scraped across the top of his face, then the scratching on the backs and then the scratching with the barbed wire, it just foul, all of it. Tyler, I wanted to get a shot of something and some sort of antiseptic for my eyes that I could just wash this out. I felt like I needed to wash my hands and take a shower when this was over, and I was not a participant in this match, but it ruled. It's the right person won. I thought it was a great way to end it. We've seen the hang you by the rope, make you pass out stuff before already in AEW. In particular, Brody King using his choke submission over the ropes, or as he did on, I can't remember if it was Matt or Nick tonight, but he did it at the end of the apron again and got super kicked in the face for it. But man, this was great. Moxley tapping was a huge thing for Hangman. I think sooner than later we'll see Hangman Adam Page back on the top with the belt. I don't know when that will happen, but that MJF Hangman Adam Page match is going to be a good one.
Oh, yes, it will be. I really believe we could see that as soon as May. I think that could be very, very much in the works. This match was amazing. One of my favorite matches so far in 2023. I am not
Yes.
one. This may be a shocker, but I am not necessarily a fiend for these extremely violent matches. It's just not really my forte. I'm not against it, but it usually doesn't make my favorite matches of the year. This was an exception, though. The storytelling within it. One note that I had to write down while watching this match. This is probably my biggest pop, Brad. I know you mentioned the fork spot and some of the other brutal moments. What got me was when Mox, this is maybe about halfway through the match, Mox got this very long chain and he pile drove Hangman onto this long steel chain. I don't know if you remember this. He got up, he did some sort of posturing to the crowd. And the crowd just claps for him. He gets up out of their seats. It's just pro wrestling, man. Like pile drives this dude, maybe commits homicide in front of our very eyes, gets up, does this to the audience.
Metal.
Yeah. And everyone, yeah. I'm just like, in what world do we do this? It was
Roman
gnarly.
Coliseum is what we do.
It was just, it got me. I was like, oh my God, pro wrestling, man. Like only in pro wrestling. We are so bloodthirsty. This match definitely over delivered. It was not one of my top 2 or even top 3 most anticipated bouts, which probably is blasphemous to those listening and watching. But it was one of my favorite matches of the night. Definitely top 2 at the very least. It was so good. And like you said, the ending for Hangman to make Moxley submit. Of course, Mox is Teflon in AEW. He can eat this loss. But making him submit in terms of just what it means to have Mox lose a match like that, but also, as you pointed out, for the storyline purposes, huge. My final takeaway, I hope Mox can finally take this damn vacation, man. It's been like, 8 months overdue?
Yeah.
This has to be, if we see Mox on Wednesday, as much as I love the man, I'm going to be disappointed. I hope he takes a break. Mox, we don't need you back until Double or Nothing. He deserves that time off.
I don't think he'll take it. Renee is going to be there.
He's probably not.
And his baby's going to be there. So what's the point? There's no way. There's no chance unless they can both take time off together.
So true.
I don't think it's going to happen. So it will, but it'd probably be a little while before it does. I hope though that he at least takes himself out of matches for a little bit and lets his body recover, because this was gnarly. That dude's been bleeding at least once a week, every week for the last 2 months.
It's concerning. Maybe that was part of my psyche. It's like, oh my God, I've seen this dude bleed in Phoenix, in Redondo, in Vermont. I mean, this guy is I'm speechless about it.
I do think that I saw when I was checking out Shop AEW and Pro Wrestling Tees today, because of the sales. I'm still debating on posters for the new classroom.
Is the Jamie Hayter tee in your cart?
No, I'm not. Dude, I can't do that. I have to justify getting a gym membership so that I don't accidentally blimp up like a tick on Dracula. So I gotta do something here.
Listen, man, May 24th is around the corner. It is a big birthday for you. Jamie Hayter figure will hopefully be out. Maybe you'll be receiving the tee. Who knows? We'll see. There's plenty of time to figure this out. You have friends who care about you and love you dearly. Don't worry about it.
I saw the Evil Uno shirt, the Crimson Mask Evil Uno shirt. And I thought it's pretty cool. I'm not going to get it, but it's pretty cool. And my first thought was, we got to see that live. That was pretty deep. So here we are. The next match, not quite as bloody. Wardlow defeats Samoa Joe by submission, using Joe's submission in a 10-minute, 40-second I guess if I'm JR here, I'd be calling it a slobber knocker. These dudes were hitting each other pretty hard. Wardlow came out the gate hot and just was beating the shit out of Joe for a solid 2 minutes before Joe got his comeback. And this is a fun match. It was short, but like they're two big brawling dudes that it's probably about as long as it needed to be. I don't really have anything to add.
Yeah, another case of the right person won. You
Yep.
and I both thought Wardlow was gonna leave San Francisco victorious. Probably not a huge shocker for the fan base. Yeah, this was good. Hobbs being in the audience also
That's
made me
great.
very happy. I am so intrigued to see that match on Wednesday. I think this is a case where both dudes really need the win. Does Wardlow drop the belt just after he won it a few days prior? On the other hand, can Hobbs have this huge moment winning the Face of the Revolution ladder match? I'm so happy he got off of that ladder safe and sound, by the way. That was scary for a man that large to be on a broken ladder. I don't know that I can see Hobbs losing on Wednesday. So not only was this match fun and super serviceable and happy Wardlow's back, but I will definitely be tuning in on Wednesday. I have no idea who is going to leave Sacramento TNT champion. So they got me hooked.
I can't wait to see it. I know it's going to be a good one. Finally, well, almost finally on the card that wasn't an hour long plus. The Guns retained. This is the only match I didn't correctly predict, Tyler, but I did fantasy book it correctly, so that's great. The Guns beat everybody, the Acclaimed, Jay Lethal, and then Orange Cassidy and Danhausen, and we were talking off air. I don't know why I didn't see this coming. Danhausen was the most obvious, clear as day person to be pinned in this match. I felt like everybody else would have been distracted by some way. I thought it was great. I was waiting. Danhausen's one big move is a dick punch. So I'm so happy that it happened to Satnam Singh. Orange Cassidy punched him, and then so did Danhausen to get him out of the match. I thought that was hilarious. Huge pop for me. I love that kind of quick German suplex Danhausen does when he throws somebody into the corner. That quick release because he's much smaller than a lot of the dudes.
That looked
so
good.
Using the momentum to carry him. He did that on that pre-show match he did several months ago. Whatever. I think it might have been the last pay-per-view when he came out as like evil Danhausen when the best friends were like, yeah, you don't want to mess with him. And he came out with blood in his mouth and a jar full of teeth.
I was gonna say tooth extraction Jones, right? Yeah.
Yeah. That was gnarly. But he was eating dudes around the ring for that too. I thought it was great. I thought this was a really fun match. I was not looking forward to this whatsoever. This was one of the ones that I was like, I don't really care. And then I found myself being really invested. I thought this was a blast. I think the right team won, number one. I think the Guns are that team right now. I thought the Guns were doing some, like their bumps and their sells were so good. Their facials are great. They always pop me. I love the way they interact with the crowd. It's very old school, but I love that. I think it's Colton. It was grabbing Austin's hand to put him over his ears so we couldn't hear ass boys and stuff in the crowd. I thought that was great. I love their entrance and I love what their finisher is 310 to Yuma, right?
Great name.
It's perfect. Perfect.
Yeah. And and the storyline, I'm obviously getting ahead of ourselves now, but the storyline is their finisher is so cool. Definitely a version of the Shatter Machine, or as we know it, the Big Rig, or I guess it's called the Shatter Machine again now. Who knows? But the fact that it's a play off of their rivals move is just great. Like you, this was so much more fun than I thought it would be. And now that we know FTR did appear post-match, if there was a fourth team to be entered, not named Dax and Cash, really the perfect guys were Orange Cassidy and Danhausen. Am I right, Brad? Of course, I would have loved to see Top Flight, or like I said, the Lucha Brothers, but Orangehausen being that team actually made a ton of sense. They're two of the most over guys in the entire company. As you pointed out, we got those fun spots. I thought there was a chance the Acclaimed was going to win, as you predicted, but the Guns made so much sense because, in large part, of the post-match angle.
Right.
How, I know this occurred maybe about an hour and a half, 2 hours ago, but how giddy are you that FTR is back? Hopefully.
Yeah, that's the key part, right? We have a month to know. But I can't imagine them starting an angle for only a month. I can't possibly.
No,
So
they're gonna be champs.
So they better be.
Yeah.
So I'm really, man, I jumped up and down in my room. I was yelling. I'm glad everybody was out of the house. No dog in here to bark. I was jumping up and down. I'm so stoked to see them back. I am excited. I saw Macoon already tweeted out that yes, I am going to ask Dax on his podcast. I don't know if you listen to the pod. I listen.
I listened to episode 1, but that was it.
I listen every week. I inundate myself with wrestling material. My three during the week usually are Folia's pod, the Dax pod, and Grill and JR, and then some things interspersed. The sessions, Talk is Jericho if it's relevant, and then a few other things. But I love Dax on this. The only thing I don't like is when he goes into the microphone. Like, God damn, man! Like, just blow your nose, mute it for a second, or when they do the tequila. They do the tequila tasting, and it's like, I tried to mute earlier when I coughed, and it was one of those double click things where I clicked it and unmuted it right away. But like hearing this,
yeah,
when he's doing a tequila tasting,
and that's part of his charm, right? Is he's had the pictures
I love it.
He's had the pictures on Twitter where he
looking at
on the Twitters where he has the Mr. Magoo glasses. And
yes.
Like, I'm just trying to figure this out. I know I need a microphone. It kind of plays into what he's going for, right?
Yeah, well, he's just real, like authentic, very authentic, and I'm here for it. I just, man, I have misophonia. I don't like hearing people eat and drink and all that stuff. Like when my mom would take a gulp in a quiet room, I'd hear like the whole thing happen biologically, and I just like I grimaced, and I always felt bad, but it's like I can't help how my brain processes stuff. So there are some times where I have to tap that go ahead 30-second button and get through the tequila tasting, but otherwise I love it. And last week he talked about coffee. That is my jam. So I'm so stoked that this is happening. Their new tea is amazing. I feel like I have to get that one. That might be one that I pull the trigger on. We'll see, because it's incredible. Jess even saw it and was like, did they have that in a hoodie? Because she wants, she just wants something really colorful, and she likes the FTR color. I thought, so Tyler, before we get to the main event here, Jess wore my FTR hoodie for like a week. When she was sick or she just around the house, she was just wearing my FTR hoodie, the one she got me for Christmas. I love it, especially because of that. I couldn't wear it. It was always dirty because she was wearing my damn hoodie. And she's like, it's just so soft, so comfortable. So I went out of my way to figure out like, what did Pro Wrestling Tees or Shop AEW use for their printable materials? And it was Independent Trading Company is I believe the name of the brand. I found the style. And then I found the type of hoodie, and I found a plain one on Amazon. And I was like, now you don't have to worry about pictures of people, logos, names, all the stuff you said you don't want on a t-shirt or on a hoodie. It's plain. It's fine. And she was just like, it's really boring. I only liked it because of the colors. It wasn't just because it was comfortable. And I was like, then why did you lie to me? Because I spent $20 on this plain ass hoodie because it's comfortable for around the house, because you said that it was comfortable, not it was colorful. Those are different words. Anyway.
They are different words, yeah.
They do not make this new tee in a hoodie. And because of that, I am very upset that I know who is going to be wearing my FTR hoodie. I'm sad.
Marriage, man. I like how we kind of got some Bachelor vibes there. You know, the gimmick for the Bachelor is like we turned it into a topic related to life. I love this.
Well, we have more of that coming up in a little bit. We have the main event now that we're almost approaching an hour. This is going to be a long ass episode, Tyler. MJF versus Bryan Danielson. 60-minute Iron Man match that was not 60 minutes. I don't know what the official total time was, but it was longer. We got additional time. It ended in a 3-3 draw and then went to sudden death rules after MJF tapped just past the expiration of the time limit. We knew that, at least I knew, as soon as they went to extra time, it was time for MJF to cheat. This is always how MJF wins. It's a no-brainer. This is when I was like, all right, Danielson's definitely going to lose. But they sold me so many tickets in this that I thought, oh, maybe we got it. But I was like, no, they're going to have him cheat. The only part that I thought maybe was when the ring came off. Once the ring was taken off the hand, because he had the belt, and who was in the ring? Was it Bryce that
Yes.
ref took
Yes.
the belt, and then MJF pulled the ring out of the trunks. Tyler, that man wrestled for 60 plus minutes in a violent match, Blood City, suplex Jones, power bombs through tables, with a giant ring next to his nutsack. I don't know how he did that. He pulls out the ring at the end. The only thing I could think is maybe at the end he grabbed it from somewhere, stuck it in his trunks, and then pulled it out like it had been there the whole time.
Yeah, I think that seems likely.
But that has to be like maybe when he grabbed the water and the water was misdirection. So
Yeah, he did that a lot. That would
yeah,
be probably my only nitpick for the match, unless I'm missing like the larger uh idea of that. But it seemed like he had a lot of water breaks. I know he's a heel, but then Taz. I mean, how many times did Taz say, "Max, you got to stop, man. You're going to blow yourself up"? I'm like, okay, 1 or 2 water breaks would have been great, but we got maybe 3 or 4. I think there's a high possibility
I think
that
it was
was a
3.
fake. I think there was a high possibility that was a fake out for a ring situation.
Yeah, the first 2 were water breaks. The second one he grabbed the water and brought it in the ring, so he wasn't down. Or the third one, he brought it into the ring. That was the final one.
Yeah, it just seemed like a lot to me.
Well, there were a lot because he also had the water in the crowd, and I think that was the part when he splashed the kid.
Yeah,
So, well,
yeah.
we assume it was water. It could have been beer. I don't know. If you threw
Sure.
beer at a kid, like, dude, you can't do that.
There are lines we got to.
You splash a kid with water, whatever. Like, I don't even feel bad. Like, if you have an 8-year-old at this AEW event and you're sitting up close, like, have you ever watched the product ever?
Mhm.
Like, what are we doing here? There's
Mhm.
blood everywhere. If the kid's upset because water got on him, I hate to say this because he didn't deserve it. The kid did not, or she, I don't know, or other, I have no idea. The person that got splashed didn't deserve it. However, the parents kind of had that coming. Like, know where you're going. I'm not going to go, hey, Freya, do you want to go see the violent murder movie that's at the movie theater? I know you're 5. Let's go watch Violent Night together and watch how Santa kills a whole bunch of people with a hammer.
And Scream comes out this Friday, so if she's not feeling the Christmas spirit, we got another
Ghostface. Perfect.
Yeah, we got options.
Yeah, she's afraid of the cartoon Ghostbusters, but let's hop on down to the multiplex and check
nostalgia.
out Scream.
Yep.
I don't know, man. The water breaks were a little bit much, like you said. I have no problem with him getting heat by splashing somebody in the crowd, and frankly, I don't give a shit. It was a kid. If it happened to Freya, I'd have been taking a picture of her crying and put it on social media. I don't care. Like, maybe that makes me a cold-hearted, terrible person. Listen, if you're going to bring your kid there, expect bad things to happen. Maybe not from the crowd, but probably from the wrestlers. People get pushed all the time there. In AEW, they frequently fight up aisles. They get thrown onto crowd people. People get splashed all the time, and there's blood flinging everywhere. We have a CM Punk freeze frame shot from one of the matches where you see blood squirting out of his head. What do you think is going to happen if you're anyway? But that's my piece on the crowd situation. Anyway, I thought this match was incredible. It's one of the best matches it's of the year. I don't want to say I've ever seen, but it was one of the best AEW matches I've seen, and I don't think it approaches Ospreay and Kenny. I don't even know if it approaches some of the other matches we've seen this year. But in terms of like telling the story, my God, this match was incredible.
Oh yeah, it was next level. I'm gonna quote my own words, which feels like a flex tonight, from our article, which we've referenced a few times. So I wrote, if we wrote this article 2 weeks ago, I would have had full confidence that MJF is going to retain. I'm not so sure now. Weeks of on-screen storyline progression and increasing fan support for Danielson are leading me to think this is a 50-50 pick. Danielson is unquestionably one of the GOATs, so on and so forth. Does he need the title to solidify this run? Probably not, but would it add to his legacy and freshen up the title scene? Yes. And then I'm going to follow my intuition. MJF retains in a match we'll be buzzing about all year. Yeah, that's basically it. This is absolutely going to be a match of the year candidate. One of the best AEW matches in company history. This exceeded my wildest expectations.
Agreed.
After they passed 30 minutes, this really flew for me. I
Yeah.
did not think this dragged,
No.
especially during that back half. And then when you added on the sudden death, I was invested. You were invested, Brad. It seemed like everyone at the Chase Center was as well. I was also sold the ticket when MJF kicked out of the Psycho knee. Like MJF was folded up, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" Like Danielson is gonna do it. I'm gonna be wrong. When MJF kicked out of that, I was just, that's when I knew, okay, this match is absolutely one of MJF's best. Bryan Danielson has had one of the most storied careers of this generation. I think this is going to be up there in terms of his. I know in music we say discography, but in terms of his wrestlingography or matchography, I think this is going to be up there.
It's cage
This
match.
yeah, thank
Yeah.
you. This
Yeah.
and MJF calling out Meltzer was perfect.
So good.
Yeah, just
so good.
This match was absolute high art. I loved it. It was everything.
It was professional wrestling. This is everything professional wrestling is, right? Like this is incredible. There were a couple of moments in there that really got me. The MJF Darby spot with the counters for roll-ups where they were just rolling around the ring, but going back and forth between roll-up, between roll-up, between roll-up, between roll-up. The core strength and endurance these men have is unbelievable. I cannot say enough about how in great physical condition these people are. For people that are like, oh, wrestling is scripted, wrestling isn't real, all that stuff. Go ahead and watch that. Go roll up, sit up. For some people, sit up one time. Just do one sit up. Now do it with another person on top of you and roll with them in somersaults on the floor for 20 seconds. And then just do reverse crunches over and over and over again with them on top of your face. How, and that was maybe 25 minutes into the match. Incredible.
Listen, man, you're talking to someone who hits that 0.5 mile mark on the treadmill and starts to get a little winded and is ready to move on to the next activity at the gym. So yeah, I'm right there with you. This from a cardio perspective, MJF, the epic entrance, I thought that was a really nice touch and
Yeah, that was
really cool. A refresher for his presentation. He brought back the devil mask from a previous pape, and he's in phenomenal shape as well. I remember early MJF, like all in, and he was definitely rocking the dad bod, and shout out to all the fellow dad bod people out there. To think of him when he started, and we knew he was special back then, but to see his transformation physically from that point, it's inspiring. It's impressive. I'm so glad he did not drop the title. I love Danielson as much as the next person. And maybe this feud wasn't white hot all the way through, but man, I think MJF needs to hold that title. I'm not saying he needs it for the rest of the year, but he is him. Remember we were clamoring for him a few months ago, and now Danielson called it years ago. We are fickle. We were clamoring for this guy, salivating, and now that he's here, I think, okay, his promos are repetitive. I think he should drop the belt. No, MJF is our champion. It needs to be that way for a long time. He looks amazing. Bryan Danielson is one of the GOATs. This match is absolutely one of my favorite AEW pay-per-view main events.
I got to tell you, like the repetitive promo thing, I don't care with MJF. He delivers it in such a way that he makes me want to pay attention and he makes me care about it. And I get the trope about or I guess I get the complaint about all of his origin stories. Oh, okay. So hold on. What you're saying is this guy's had so much awful shit that's really terrible happen to him that it's bad that they've all affected him in some way. Explain that to me, Tyler. Like why are we mad at this person? Why are we mad that this person's experienced enormous trauma in his life despite being rich? But this is one of those things. It's like, well, rich people don't get to be sad. that's a whole separate conversation that's bugged me since the outset, because I feel this way about Cody Rhodes promos in WWE. I'm bored. He delivers them in an incredible way, but like Roman called him out for making it sound like it was rehearsed this week.
Oh well. Oh yeah. We will get there. Don't you worry. It may be at the 2-hour mark, but we will absolutely be touching on that.
And he's right. It does. It sounds like he's delivering a speech instead of a promo, instead
It
of a
is very political.
conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Max doesn't. Max sounds like he's personally attacking you, because he is. Or digging down to a deep place. Like, the dude is crying when he delivers his promos. His eyes are welling with tears because of how passionate he is about this stuff. They're so believable because they feel authentic. They're probably real, turned up to 11. But then we got to see all of this stuff tonight where it's like, oh, he's not just. I feel like every time Max has a match, we go, oh, he's not really just great on the mic. He's great everywhere. And I don't know why we're surprised at this point. I wasn't. I knew this was going to be a good one. I didn't know it was going to be this. This was incredible. But we've had Max. He beat Mox for the championship. He had a great match with Takeshita. What are we doing doubting this guy at this point?
The Darby match at Full Gear.
Oh, that was so good.
Full Gear 2021, I believe.
Yeah, right. Well, I'm just thinking. Yeah, I'm just thinking since he's been back.
Since he's been champ. Oh yeah, I mean even just since he's been champ. Absolutely. Yeah, we forget that he's one of the best in the ring.
When he came back, I don't think he had won yet. It was right. The Yuta match happened before he won, or was it after he won? I think it was right before.
Yes. Yeah. I believe you're right.
It was right after man, I can't remember, but it was a good one.
Feels like a year ago. Yeah.
I think it might have been, I think it was after he won.
Really?
Yeah. I'm not positive, because he was like good guy, bad guy, good guy, and everybody was cheering for him, but he didn't really turn until the post conference and during that match when he won. Mm-hmm. So I can't keep it straight. It doesn't really matter, but he had a great match with Yuta. Yeah, I think he's so underrated, and it was the right time for AEW and Tony Khan to pull the trigger on him and get the belt on him. But Tyler, we have to move on, and it's also time to talk about pulling the trigger. Or maybe not pulling the trigger on suspensions for sure. We're going to have another edition. It's been a while of what happened here. Ja Morant edition. Play the music.
What happened here?
Your transition game on this episode is absolutely top tier, my man. I hope you smile about that. Oh my gosh, you went into the trigger talk. Ooh-wee. Okay, so what happened here, Ja Morant edition? Man, I was considering looking up the actual dates and verbiage, but I think at this point, folks know that you and I are big hoop fans, and Ja Morant was in the news all over the weekend. So this report came out last week about him having some nefarious activity, including allegedly beating up a 17-year-old over a pickup game. And even prior to that, it was he was accused of him and his associates pointing a laser at Indiana Pacers players, right? Like referencing they have a gun. Yeah. And then Brad, over the weekend, early Saturday morning, on his Instagram Live, Ja Morant is seen at a club after hours, flashing a firearm. Next day, the Grizzlies effectively suspend him for 2 games. He puts out a statement. He is sorry for his actions and is grateful for the organization, fans, etc. So maybe this will blow over as of our next GI episode, and Ja will get right. I sure hope so, man. This is super concerning. Ja Morant is, in my opinion, the most electrifying player in basketball. Yes. This is coming from a big Suns fan. But I mean, no one goes viral like him. The man hasn't even had his signature shoe released yet, and this is already happening. Super concerning. What really stood out to me this weekend, Brad, was not only just seeing a potential downfall of Ja Morant. I know that might be hyperbole, but scary stuff. It was that mixed with when this video came out, it was the same day Saturday as a massive UFC show headlined by Jon Jones. I do not claim to be a UFC expert by any means, but I know that Jon Jones won in the first round and is now heavyweight champ. So I found it super interesting from a psychological or maybe sociological perspective that on one hand, a lot of folks on the timeline are expressing concern for Ja over his penchant for toting firearms, but also a lot of us are super excited and laid down big money to watch Jon Jones fight. And I am by no means claiming that I am flawless or a saint. What I do want to point out, though, is Jon Jones has done some pretty despicable things, Brad. This is not take a lot of effort. If you just Google Jon Jones controversies, there's PEDs, there's domestic violence, there's driving while intoxicated, add on hit and run, as recently as 2021. So I don't want to flat out say it's capping, but I just find it interesting. To me, there's kind of a juxtaposition or a contrast of, okay, are we really expressing this concern for Ja? Or as long as folks have amazing athletic ability, we're still going to support them and watch them and give them our money. And I guess we do that all in the hope of they're going to get right. But I just found it really, really, I don't know, interesting is the best word I have as we record at almost midnight, that this news about Ja came out and all of us and our aunties have an opinion on the timeline, but also a lot of us were going to our UFC parties to watch Jon Jones, who, I don't know, man, seems like a pretty despicable person. Maybe believe in second chances and believe that people can figure out their stuff, but from my understanding, this dude has really had some issues, and I certainly hope he's changed and is a better person now. But to me, they were a bit related. I know UFC is one sport, basketball is a totally different sport, but I couldn't help but see some intersection there.
So I'm going to read you a quote. I don't know if you'll know where it's from, but nobody panics when things go according to plan, even if the plan is horrifying. If tomorrow I tell the press that like a gangbanger will get shot or a truckload of soldiers will be blown up, nobody panics because it's all part of the plan. But when I say that one little old mayor will die, well, then everyone loses their minds. And of course, that is Heath Ledger's Joker from The Dark Knight. And I really like that because I feel like there's a comp there. You remember Plaxico Burress? Do you remember Plaxico?
Of course, number 17, great wide receiver.
You remember what happened, right?
Yes.
Okay.
We have a weird fascination with guns in this country. Yes, absolutely.
And it's so nuanced and complicated, and there's like
100%.
Cultural differences and regional differences, and
thank you, 100%.
All of those things. But all I could think was Ja in the club with a gun. This could have happened. It would have ended his entire career, somebody's life. If he would have shot himself in the thigh, that's it for him. Probably. I don't think you recover as a basketball player from something like that. I know Plaxico's career never recovered. That stuff is crazy. But when I think of the UFC, it's hyper violent already. It's terribly violent. You can look at Floyd Mayweather as the same thing. Guy is, for lack of a better term, a pretty terrible human being.
Yeah, he's awful, but we just accept it because he's one of the GOATs. Yeah,
well, he's one of the GOATs in a very violent sport. He not one of the GOATs that's doing like commentary. He's not this guy that's well known for his strategic planning in corporate meetings. He is professional face puncher. Well, really professional face puncher / runner aware. He's the best dodger I've ever seen in my entire life. That dude can dodge anything that's thrown at his head or near him. It's unbelievable. But because he's in a violent sport, we ignore the other violent things. I think the same thing for Jones. He's in an incredibly violent sport, so we ignore the other terrible things because what he does is by nature terrible. Ja is a basketball player, so we don't ignore that. It takes if we broke down, especially the era that I grew up in and that you grew up in of wrestling, and looked at all the terrible things that these professional wrestlers have done. Like, you don't want to go digging around and finding out about what Stone Cold has done or you're not going to be a fan of Stone Cold. Like there's stuff that I didn't know about that was like his marriage with Deborah and when he was, yeah, I'm not going to go into it because I don't know how much of it is confirmed and I don't want to just accuse people, but even if it's not true, that stuff is out there. And if we start digging around in there, we ignore it because what's worse, Chris Benoit. So it takes a Chris Benoit for us to go, wow, this is really terrible versus just a normally despicable person. But we go, well, they're in a violent sport, a violent piece of entertainment. That's part of the nature. And I know times have changed. You can't get away with that stuff now. But I think by the nature, when you're looking at something that's by its nature violent, then I think it's easier to ignore it as a public as being not that big of a deal because it's already violent. It's according to the plan. Where any other sports, it's just simply not. I can't imagine, like I love hockey. I can't imagine like if it's like, okay, Detroit Red Wings, Colorado Avalanche, we have the big fight, right? But instead, somebody just pulls out a machete in the middle of the fight and just starts hacking. Everybody's going to freak the hell out. But instead, it's like there's people bleeding on the ice unconscious. People have gotten their asses kicked. Careers have been mostly, some people almost ended. And it was straight out the gate. Nobody did anything wrong for months. And then it was just like, we're just going to start fighting. We're going to throw hands right here. And everybody went, all right, it's cool. It's according to the plan. I don't know what any of their backgrounds are. I don't know what their life is like outside of that ice rink. On the rink, it's okay. Well, kind of. I mean, there were suspensions and stuff, and it's infamous for how violent it is. Man, Detroit's done a lot of violent shit. So like Malice in the Palace, that. Yeah. Anyway, there's just a lot there to unpack. I don't get it. I don't think I ever will get it. I'm trying to understand it, but like you said, it's hopefully they figure it out, and hopefully, I don't know, hopefully Jossie's reason. He's saying the right things right now and he's suspended, but how much of that is him and how much of that is a PR team? And we'll never know.
Sure. And a lot of his image is based on what his early rise to stardom, and even now is based on his role as a father, right? He's an adorable daughter and she seems to mean the world to him. So yeah, even from like, okay, he's a young man and he's, he has this superstar level of fame and just oodles of money, right? Money we could only dream of.
Great use of
but also, thank you. But I have a colleague that says that recently. I found that from her. Shout out to Kathy. But it's like, my man, you're a dad, and clearly you love your child. Like, you should be like putting down the Uzi and grabbing I don't know, like a not Curious George is my era, but whatever the popular like books are for kids now. Arthur maybe is still hot. I don't know what books you would want to get, but grab that and put down I don't know, man. Fame must be a hell of a drug. Obviously, you go anywhere and you are the center of attention. You are God's gift to any room you walk into. Like you, I just hope he really figures this out and comes out better for it.
That gun, I'm trying to figure out what it was. It looked like it probably is like a 22 or a 22 mag. It was like practically a squirt gun. I thought it was like flashing it. Any firearm is dangerous and deadly, but it's not exactly the one that you show off. That's a personal protection weapon. It's not one you go like, yeah, you want to mess with me, and you pull out a Judge that shoots 410 shells like a shotgun shell. This is not that. That was like, okay, I understand you feel like you have to protect yourself. You are wealthy, you're well known, and people might want to take a shot at you because like try to fight you simply because you're famous.
Sure. Yeah. And we don't have that context. That's
right.
A magnificent point.
Yeah. And that's probably that might be the part, but Jalen Rose said it better in an interview the other day. I don't know if it was today or yesterday, but he really broke it down. Seek it out if you want to hear more about this, because I'm not equipped to speak on this, and I'm not well versed enough to know really what was going on. But I thought it was an interesting conversation, and I'm glad you brought it up today. And I would like to do more with this, but Tyler, we got to talk about WWE before it hits tomorrow.
And now, it's time to talk WWE.
So it's
true.
time. Go ahead and hit me with your question.
Yeah, man. So one of the highlights for me in WWE last week was, of course, the opening of SmackDown. We finally got the moment. Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, 2 mics, 1 ring, face to face. I thought both guys were awesome here, Brad. Who would have thought Roman has a stellar Dusty in him? Anyway, I saw more than a few fans
It was
on the
so good.
timeline. It was so good on the
Yeah.
timeline claiming victory, a decisive victory for the tribal chief. I think both of us probably agree, but here is my question for you. Where does Roman Reigns rank in terms of a top promo in professional wrestling?
Oh man. Right currently?
Currently,
In all of wrestling and not
in
just
all of
WWE.
in all of wrestling currently.
Since becoming the tribal chief, I don't know, probably top 5. I don't know. I don't know where I put him. He's not above Mox. He's not above Eddie Kingston. He's he's definitely not above either of those dudes. He's not above MJF. In WWE, he's the best thing going. I don't think it's even close.
Mhm.
But
3 years running, yeah.
there's a huge difference. I guess well, I can't see it's not close because Seth is up there. Um Seth is
LA
probably the
Knight,
best.
right?
He's an incredible talker too, and he has crowd control. That
Mhm.
dude shuts down what chance better than anybody.
Mhm.
He's so
We,
good.
we saw your tweet with the rocket emoji. We,
Yeah.
we we heard that audience reaction on
Well, as
SmackDown.
soon as he walked out, man, like what's I mean, it's so good. And he plays the hits. Roman plays the hits. LA Knight comes out. Let me talk to you. Yeah. And he does all of those different things. And LA Knight, very DMD. All of that stuff is awesome. LA Knight, it has to be up there, but man, I don't know. For Roman, for me, it's always hit or miss. It just depends. His work this year has been incredible. Before that, I didn't like it as much because it was a lot of I'm the tribal chief. I'm the head of the table. And that's kind of it. I'm going to smash him. I'm going to like I get it. That's fine, but it can't all be catchphrases for the whole promo. But the huge difference here is that we have to remember that WWE has literal scripts and AEW has people coming up with promos. The AEW promos are always going to sound more natural, in my opinion, because they're writing them, they're figuring them out, they're honing them, they're crafting them. I don't know how much freedom that the WWE talent gets. Roman probably has more. Cody probably has more. I'm not sure about LA Knight, but LA Knight's promos, especially with the Pitch Black match, had to include certain things for product placement and that kind of stuff. So yeah, I don't know how to answer the question. I think maybe top 5, but he's not at the top of the list for me. How
Yeah.
about you?
Yeah, no, that's fair. I like top 5. I asked this question because it's so jarring to me. It was so jarring, especially reading all of the praise on the timeline. Not just because it was praise for Roman, because of course, like great promo by him, toe to toe to Cody, and stood victorious. But I remember the days when Roman on the microphone, you sort of winced when he got the mic. You were a little
Bad.
on edge, like, oh, this is the possibility to go very wrong. And that wasn't 10 years ago. We're talking as recently as 2018, 2019. I
Yeah.
remember his feud with John Cena around that
Mhm.
time
It
frame,
was bad.
in which, yeah, Cena was just eating him on the mic.
Yeah.
And obviously we know now, because they feuded not too long ago, that he's just done a total 180. And I would argue his work on the mic is now a strength of his, and he's
Mhm.
known for his prowess in that regard. So I like your top 5, and just a big shout out for him. We've given a lot of shout outs today for the growth of wrestlers. They put in the work, and like any job, right? Wrestling, teaching, etc. You put in the work, in due time, you just naturally get better. Roman's clearly done that. It's pretty amazing how he's progressed on the microphone.
Yeah, I think part of it is that the script is more natural. It's more real. It's more believable
Definitely.
for him, not just for us, but for him.
Yep. No
Um,
suffering succottage.
yeah.
Thank the
Oh
Lord.
my gosh. Yeah. There's no more silly stuff, but I think we know what happened and what changed, especially in the last year or so. It's just different. But I think the big difference between, because Roman's promos aren't always great. Because what do we mean when we say promo? We hardly ever get a Roman promo. This is one of the first Roman promos we've had in a long, long time. We don't get Roman promos. We get Roman segments, and we get Roman conversation during matches. That's where he excels, when he's talking trash to people, to right to their face, or talking to the crowd, or in the back doing stuff on the couch, just telling people what to do and what to think. There's been a bunch of interactions, but it hasn't necessarily been like promos. It hasn't been soliloquies, I guess the best thing, or even just back and forth dialogue. I think it's been mostly interactive group ensemble work, and he has excelled in that area. And the way that he's excelled is by violating all of the rules of acting. And that's the thing I think is so interesting about him, is he's the scariest and most intimidating because he never looks at the person he's talking to. He just goes, you're going to get him to come back and join the bloodline, or I'm going to take it out on you. And he doesn't even look up at Jimmy. He just tells Jimmy basically, I'm going to kill you next
Great
week.
impression. Yes.
He just down, just staring ahead while Paul Heyman is in the background going, oh God. He was perfect in all of this, which brings me, Tyler, to my question for you. So Jimmy this week was given the task to bring Jay back into the bloodline by this week. And if he's not back, then Roman's going to take it out on Jimmy. Is this where we see the bloodline dissolve? Or is this where we see the bloodline become whole again and become strengthened? And I might add, is this where we see Rikishi join the bloodline, since he is apparently lobbying for it and he wants to be a part of it?
Wow. About probably a 3-part question. I love it.
Yeah.
I'm tempted to go the dissolve route, I am going to go with the second option you presented. Shout out to Rikishi, though. It would seem to me that this would be the ideal time for Jay to come back. I don't know that it'll be an instant, okay, snap a finger and Jay is fully on board. But WrestleMania is what, Brad? 4 weeks away? I think we're approaching 3 now. So, in my opinion, the night one main event is going to be for the tag team titles. I think night one is primed for the Usos versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. While I would love to slot in, say, Bianca v. Asuka or even Rhea v. Charlotte, I think the story is so clearly supreme here. You know it's going to deliver. You know you're going to end with a great crowd reaction. So I'm going to vote that main event Jay comes back fully bloodline. Maybe not fully immediately, that he's going to be back in the fold, because we just don't have a lot of time until WrestleMania. And I think that's going to end up being our main event on that Saturday night. What say you?
I can see Jay, and I can see Jay splitting.
Really?
Yeah, I can absolutely see it happening. And I can see, well, we have half the tag champs over here, and it's Jimmy and Solo. And then the other half is over here. It's Jay, and he needs a partner. It's Sammy. And that determines who the champs are. Or maybe that's how they split the belts. I'll take SmackDown, you take Raw, and we'll go our separate ways for now, eventually reuniting the two brothers, obviously. But I think that the bloodline stays intact, and maybe they kick out Roman, and Jay becomes the new head.
What? Wow.
I'm just saying, like,
oh my goodness.
It would make sense if you're going to keep the bloodline intact.
Yeah.
And we have all of this animosity building toward Roman within the bloodline. If all of them turn, Roman's effed. Like, it was different when it was Jay and an injured Jimmy, and Solo wasn't part of the picture.
Right.
But if Solo's like, no, I'm standing with my brothers, Roman's screwed.
Bloodline goes full babyface.
And then maybe Paul. Where does Paul go?
Braun Breaker? Paul goes to Braun Breaker. That is the answer.
Well, it needs to happen that way.
That is the answer.
I feel like they could do something there with that. I don't know what they do with that, but like Paul would have to disappear for a long time and come back, though. And I don't see that happening. But I could see other people being with him. I could even see. No, I can't see anybody right now in WWE. They're all gone. So I don't know. I don't know who the manager would be, man. I don't know who has a better mouthpiece. Yeah, it's a great question by you about Roman, man. I thought that was really great. Tyler, I don't have a transition this time. I don't have anything clever other than the bloodline is made of relationships. And we're about to talk about a few more. It's time once again for a rose from Tyler. Play the music.
And now, for a rose from GI's most eligible bachelor.
Let's do this thing. Zach and the women of season 27 traveled to Estonia last week. Brad,
Wow.
some of my favorite teachers in high school were from the social studies department. That being said, the only thing I know about Estonia is the point guard for our beloved Arizona Wildcats men's hoops team, Kerr Kriisa, is from there. That's all I know. Kerr, we need you and your clutch shot making later this month. Even this week in the Pac-12 tournament, I would argue. But anyway, back to the topic. The juiciest moment of the episode occurred when Jess, good name, the 23-year-old e-commerce coordinator from Florida, spoke with Zach away from the rest of the contestants. She expressed her worries about not having a one-on-one with him. So, Brad, we see this all the time. And it makes sense, right? If you're competing for someone's love in real life, it's already hard out here in these streets. But when you're on a show and you can see your person spending time with other people and making out, and I would get why you would start to feel maybe a little insecure or a little jealous. So Jess expressed her worries about not having one-on-one time with Zach, right? We got that. But Zach did not take this too well. Here is his quote. To be honest, this is what he said to her during the episode. To be honest, and I'll always be honest with you, I feel like there's that disconnect. I don't feel any more sure about this, and I feel nervous. I don't know how you feel, but I'm not feeling confident. As hard as it is, and it pains me to say, he goes on, but he effectively breaks up with her. Jess goes home. Believe it or not, I believe we're down to the final 8 or final 7 here. I attached this graphic that you may see in our pod notes, Brad. I thought this might be helpful to get a picture of where we're at. Again, it's either 7 or
wow.
it's either 7 or 8. Yeah, man, the season is absolutely flying. We're getting closer and closer to hometowns. I do want to point out that all of your selections are gone in case any of our viewers missed this. 7, yeah, thank you. Anastasia, Mercedes, and Vanessa, unfortunately, have all been eliminated. Brianna from my list is gone. However, Kat and Charity still remain. We will see how that goes. But my question for you, going back to Jess, we know that breaking up and being broken up with suck. They're 2 of the hardest things to do in life, in my opinion. Obviously, Brad, I was in, and you are currently in a job where we see the effects of that on young people, on teenagers. We know it's very difficult. So my question here is kind of straightforward. Your thoughts on this part of growing up. We all have to learn it at some point when you navigate sometimes being broken up with, but then breaking up with others. There are a few different routes, right? You could take the ghosting route of just not talking to people. You can be forthright and see them in person. You can call them. Now you can even text. What are your thoughts on this? What was that like for you growing up when we all have our first encounters of dealing with breakup on either side of it?
Well, first of all, I had to look it up here when you said Estonia. I wanted to confirm it, but the first time that I ever heard of Estonia, I had to look it up. I had to go into the Encyclopedia Britannica to figure it out because the internet wasn't a thing in 1992 when I first heard of this because of Encino Man, the film where Brendan Fraser
Of
is a
course.
caveman, and they say that he's an exchange student from Estonia.
Great
Yes.
reference. Yes.
Yes.
Wasn't that Pauly Shore?
Yes, Pauly Shore.
course,
Yep.
of course.
And I can't remember who else did it. I want to say it was Sean Astin, but I can't remember.
Great name.
Well, Samwise Gamgee. What are you going to do? So I tell my kids this, that because we talk about development and hormones and the way our brains feel and all of this stuff, that we always say to kids, to young people, you don't know what love is. Okay, well, do you? Because that infatuation, chemical love is an incredible amount of just dumped endorphins, enough. It's endorphins and some other neurotransmitters, but it's enough where love sickness is a real legitimate thing. You can have too much of a neurotransmitter or too many endorphins, and you'll feel sick. You won't be able to sleep. You won't do all of these things. And as our brains develop, we struggle with emotional regulation, and we actually feel much more deeply and more intensely than we do in later life. So when we minimize the impact of a breakup or a relationship with young people, what we're doing is telling them that their feelings aren't valid, when in fact they're feeling more than us. And it's really hard to put it in that perspective. So my experiences with this stuff is that it's the drizzling shits. It's awful. I've been dumped many times. I think I've had a few mutual partings, but it's been like, nope, I get attached and then we ride it out until pain happens. And
Too real.
yeah, it's just
Too real. Yep.
and like even when it's like, well, I think maybe this will work out, even though I'm not very happy. I think this could get better and go somewhere. Nope,
Never
nope,
does.
a brick
Nope.
wall.
Never
We're running
does.
straight into that brick wall. What's on the other side of the brick wall? More bricks and some rocks. And yeah, that's the end of the line. So, and then it's off to the next brick wall. And so far, it's been all clear passages. A few bumps along the way, because relationships are always difficult. Marriage is hard, but it's so worth it. I'm so happy with where I am. My thoughts of the breakup process: ass. I don't even know what to say, man.
It's awful
It's terrible.
for 16-year-olds, for
Yeah.
30-year-olds, 45. I mean, yeah, man, it's I just thought about that, like, wow, yeah, this is, I mean, there's obviously a reality, quote unquote, show, but the process, especially with Jess and Zach in this most recent episode, it's like, yeah, sometimes it's not cordial, it's not mutual, sometimes you're just taken aback, and you don't always get the benefit of having that conversation face to face. And not all of us want to have that conversation face to face, not because we're just inherently jerks, but because I think it's just really difficult sometimes. But then again, I say that as a guy, and we know, I think men are often guilty of not being the best communicators. So by no means do I want this to be a pass or a manifesto for saying ghosting is the right way or not communicating is the right way, because we know that's not. We're trying to be better as men. But yeah, man, like you said, it's tough out here. That's the tough part about putting your heart out there, whether on a reality show or in everyday life, is there's just always that risk of being turned down, or that person not thinking you're cute. But like you said, it's worth it. You try your best and try to find your person. You clearly have. Didn't work out with the Jess for Zach, but it has for you. And I think that's always reason to celebrate.
Well, I mean, it has so far. It's
has so
12. It's 12:18 on a now Monday. So when I leave this room, we'll see how well it worked out.
Indeed. Well said. Well, speaking of that, my man, I think somehow we are at the end of the episode or near it. What are you looking forward to this week? You mentioned it's Tech Week, so I know you will be on the grind as always, but especially over these next 5 days. What's going on? Fill us in.
I'm looking forward to my class being over for 2 days. I get some respite, and then it's back into the next round of classes. I don't know how I did in this class. I assume I have an A. I have a weird week where I have 30 out of 40 points in my grade book for some assignments, but I got 40 out of 40 in it's very confusing. I don't know if you just misentered it. I don't know if I'm going to bother, because I don't know if it'll matter, and I don't really care. As long as I have an A or an A minus, I'm good. This is master's number 2. So, and yeah, I am bragging. Let's see what else we got this week. Yeah, Tech Week is going to be a grind, man. 7 o'clock is probably the earliest I'm leaving the school, maybe 8. And we have a lot of work to do before the start of the show. Opening nights next week. Saturday, I'll be in the theater for, well, as long as it takes. We're putting up a 50-foot long, 20-foot tall scaffolding and screwing it into the floor. It is no joke. It is a lot of work. and we'll see how it goes. Could fall to my death. I have no idea. I do know that Jen Davis, our director, sent me a picture. One of the curtains just sort of slid off the track yesterday. It just fell. So I have absolutely no idea how to get that up there because it weighs probably 100 pounds. And getting that up onto a 20-foot tall thing because there's no fly system is going to be a grind. I'm not looking forward to that, but I am looking forward to calling maintenance.
That Poppy. That if you know, you know. Man, that's amazing. So 2 items for me. I'm not sure if you heard about this, Brad. Netflix had its first ever live comedy special.
Oh, yeah.
Starring Chris Rock. I know
Yes.
there's been a lot of discussion about it. Some people really enjoyed it. Some people did not. Just the polarizing times we live in. So definitely want to check that out. Didn't have a chance to this weekend. And I also want to write some words about Creed 3. So I did see that, and it was excellent. Tessa Thompson, I think I had you at just the name of Tessa, so that's already reason enough to see she's amazing. But Michael B. Jordan did his thing. Jonathan Majors, you may know from Lovecraft Country on HBO,
Yes.
is an incredible actor. He was phenomenal. So want to write some words, want to watch some Chris Rock. And I have a week off until my next class starts. So my session A class ended, did really well. I get a week off until session B.
That's
so
great.
I'm going, yeah, man, I'm just going to bask in the glory of not having discussion posts for at least one more week, but then I will be back on the grind with you. Speaking of on the grind, this episode, if you are still with us, thank you so much for being here. This was an absolute marathon. If you have not already, we encourage you to follow us on social, specifically on Twitter. We can be found at GIPod19. We're also on Facebook. Just search Gimmick Infringement. I also implore you to follow Brad on Twitter. He can be found at Wind Duster. You can find me at Tyler J. McDowell. And of course, we are always at gimmickinfringementpod.com. Thank you all so much for being here. We hope you will join us for the next one. And finally, I want to give a big shout out to our friend and former guest, Mike Steff. He is relaunching his podcast, or rebranding it, I should say. It is now The Salty Thoughts of Mike Steff. You can find it on all of the streaming platforms. Brad created the art for Mike's show. I know Mike loves it. I love it. Brad, you did your thing there as always. And I just so happen, I'm going to put myself over here for the last part. I just so happen to be Mike's first guest on this relaunch. I believe his episode is actually released the same day as you may be hearing this. So please show him some love. Again, The Salty Thoughts of Mike Steff. He is the man. We appreciate him and all of his support. And I had a blast chopping it up with him. So thank you all so much for being here. We hope you'll join us for the next one. And of course, we are wishing you all a wonderful, wonderful week. Gimmick Infringement is a part of 19 Media Group. You can listen to us on Good Pods, our premier partners, and Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you find podcasts. You can also find us on YouTube via the 19 Media Group channel. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share.